Hello, my name is Adeola Mustafa, and in line with the Bincom job application process, I am submitting this video explaining HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So, the three languages, that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, the form the fundamentals, the building blocks of the parts of the web that the user sees, which we refer to as the front end part. So, for example, anytime you open a website, anytime you whatever device that you open a website, um, the way it looks, the way it feels, the way the buttons react, all of them are based on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, HTML is hypertext markup language, while CSS is cascading style sheets, and JavaScript is language, which is a programming language that is used to, enhance and facilitate activity on the user aspect of the web. Now, the applications of JavaScript are more than that, but in its origins and what it was created for, it was to enable users to be able to interact with a web page, so which we call a client-side interactivity. So now, if an analogy I would like to use to explain is say you are talking about buildings. So every building is built from blocks, in at least in Nigeria here. So by the time you put the blocks together and then you have a building and then you build it up to the roof level, basically you're looking at the same thing because they are just made up from blocks, and blocks have the same color, they have the same look and feel. So basically, although the house may have a different design, but fundamentally the building blocks on which it's built from are still blocks, and that's HTML. So HTML defines how everything just defines how the page is structured, and then um, but the structure looks the same. The structure looks the same. So if you just write purely HTML and then you deploy it, it will look the same. The buttons will look the same. The forms, the input forms, all of them will look the same. But by the time you had CSS, it's like CSS is like you're now painting the house. You try to use a unique kind of paint. You try to tile the house. You try to add so many things and furnish and garnish the house how you want, and that's what CSS does. So when you look at a web page and then you see two web pages, and then one looks like one that was done in the World War era, and then you have another one that looks like it's futuristic. It's CSS that makes it look that way. So CSS makes the page look very nice, and you can define colors, define how items would look, can define how they would merge together. So many things. You can move things around, you can do animations, you can do transitions in CSS. It's really cool. And then you have JavaScript. So that's like that's how you make stuff happen on the web page. So when you click a button, boom, then when the button brings up it dialog, or it does a drop down, then it's most likely JavaScript being worked on. And when you see some very cool animations on the web page, you'll be like, and you're sure it's not a video, it's most likely JavaScript. CSS 2 does animations, but JavaScript can take it to another level because you can do some very specific calculations to arrive at some animations. So the three those three languages, they form the cornerstone of what the path the user sees, and there's so many possibilities out there on what can be built with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and it's just limited by your imagination, your skill, and your prowess at coding and design. So thank you. This is the end of the video.